Welcome to Same Spit Different Face TV. Well, my opinions is facts, and if you don't like my opinions, you can start your own podcast, and it's free. So don't forget to spit on the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. Welcome to Same Spit Different Face Podcast, episode 9 by Fairplay 2333. That's FAIRPLAY_2333 on all platforms. Now let's get straight to it. Now it's a wild video floating around of Bhad Bhabie, her and her baby father getting into it, her baby daddy. And when we look at this situation, it's out of control and she needs to get it under control. Whoever loves her need to come around and try to help her in this situation. But we all know that we've been through this. We've seen some of these situations, whether it's in real life, whether it's played out in reality TV show, whatever it may be, where, the woman is in an abusive relationship, but because of her family or because of the love she had for this guy or because of her dependency on him financially, she continues to go back or she stays much longer than she should. Now, not only did this video come out of an altercation, but also some pictures was floating around and it appeared that she had some black eyes. Now, this isn't my business to really get into, so I can't deep dive on why she feel the way she feel or why she choose to stay. But what I will say is that she needs to find a way to do something in order to get her mind where she can have the strength to walk away from this guy. When somebody starts being abusive, it continues to go. It rarely stops on their own unless that person goes and gets some help. But even if that person goes to get help, that person has to want the help and they have to apply the help that they say that they went and got that they wanted. But anyway, man, prayers to Bhad Bhabie. And also, I know some of y'all gonna hate this, but prayers to him. My prayer to him or my prayer for him is that he gets and seeks the help he need in order to be a better person, man. They have a child together and the child does not need to grow up in an abusive home. No child needs to grow up in an abusive home. So hopefully they figure this entire situation out. And if she chooses to continue to move forward with him, that's her choice. But hopefully she continues to move forward in a peaceful environment without abuse. Camron and Mase snapped on Shakur Stevenson. Now, the reason why this back and forth started basically is because Mase said nobody wants to see Shakur Stevenson box. Now, when we look at this situation with Shakur Stevenson, people call him a boring fighter. They say he don't fight. But the thing is, when he was going into the fights and he was fighting aggressively, people were saying, hey, this guy needs to learn defense. This guy's going to get knocked out. This guy ain't going to be able to talk when he in his 40s. And one thing from Shakur Stevenson learned is that, hey, I may be boring, quote unquote, boring to y'all, but what I'm going to do is in my old age, I'm going to have motor skills. In my old age, I'm going to be able to enjoy my time with my grandkids. We see people like Muhammad Ali and rest his soul. We saw how he was at the end of his life. Now, there's some conspiracy theories behind that. Y'all can look that up on the internet if y'all want, but we would attribute that to boxing and all of those hits he took to the head. One of his most iconic fights was where he did the rope a dope. And basically the rope a dope is you lay up against the rope and you take punch after punch after punch after punch to the body, to the head, to the body, to the head, to the head by somebody. And you in heavyweight, this guy is way more powerful than you, and you let him tire himself out, but you taking the abuse. And over the long term of taking that type of abuse and those hits to the head, you become sort of a infant in your older stage. So Shakur Stevens is secure in the bag, but he's also staying away from that long-term trauma. Now, he got upset at Mase and Cam for saying this when everybody else was saying it. And you got to understand that Cam and Mase, well, Cam more so, he still represent that street image and he's still not trying to play that. So Cam told Shakur Stevenson, hey, you talking about fighting, you got to remember we not inside the ring. Anything can go on the street. So all of this you talking about, you going to do this and do that, you're not going to do anything. And I think that Shakur Stevens should just stick to boxing. I think one thing about it is that especially with the pro athletes, they have a voice now and they should have a voice. But one of the issues to them having a voice is that now they believe that everything needs to be addressed. They believe that they can address anything. And they also believe that they can say anything to anybody. And yeah, you have to understand that when you are in a position of a celebrity, you're going to have criticism on your life. But not only that, This wasn't even a criticism about his life. This was criticism about his boxing and his boxing style. So if I'm him, I let these people have their opinion because they're criticizing my boxing. I may talk back, but I'm not going to threaten people and I'm not going to say this and that. And also, you got to understand, the more they talking about you, the more they pumping your name up, the more it gets you bigger bags and better fights. So if I'm Shakur Stevens, I could let them say whatever they want, and I'll be like, yeah, y'all say I'm boring, but I'm boring all the way to the bank. The thing y'all hating on is that I'm getting this back. Like, take it that way, but I don't think you need to start threatening people because, like Cam said, ain't no rules in the streets. Guys can pick up bottles, bats, stab you, shoot you, whatever that may get to, right? So when you a boxer or you somebody physical like MMA fighter or somebody physical like a football player, you thinking that somebody's gonna just let you overpower them or somebody gonna let you knock them out or somebody gonna let you embarrass them? No, that's not gonna happen. They gonna do whatever they gotta do to protect themselves, and you may lose your career in the process of them protecting themselves, or even worse, you might lose your life. So I hope that this end peaceful between Cam, Mase, and Shakur Stevenson. I hope they come to some type of agreement, even if the agreement is to agree and disagree. You on your side and I'm on my side. But athletes got to stop being so sensitive, man. These people, this is their job. You can't tell them how to do their job. Their job is to report on sports. Imagine if somebody came into the ring and told you, yeah, man, I know you're a boxer, but today you can't use your left jab. No, they should be able to talk about everything sports related. He didn't mention Shakur Stevenson's mom. He didn't mention his dad. He didn't mention his kids if he got any. He didn't take any personal attacks against them. Everything they said was related around boxing. Angela Simmons and the Oreos is so wild, right? But I got a couple of questions for it. Now, we got to remember that Tupac had an iconic picture where he was in a tub with all the gold. And could this been inspired by that? 1,000%. So if this was inspired by that, we have to take into account that it's a possibility that this is an actual ad for Oreo, because we see she got the champagne glass with the milk. And this may not be just something she put together by herself. Now, another thing we got to think of when we look at this is a lot of people are saying, why though? And I think the reason why they're saying why though is because she's had a series of situations where it's been like, who is she and what is she doing? This is supposed to be Russell Simmons' niece. This is supposed to be Reverend Ron's daughter. This is supposed to be the good girl. But one thing people forget is when she was on, I think it was Growing Up Hip Hop, or when she was dating Bow Wow, she was kind of always, I believe, self-conscious about the image and everybody seeing her as a goody two-shoe. And I believe that she always wanted to step out of that box and do the bad girl thing and be that. But it's just like the rappers. It's like, you may have a rapper who grew up in a certain image or a certain area, and he want to come out, he want to be gang, he want to put the lean in his video to guns, but then you look at his background and you like, bro, you can be so much more than a rapper and definitely a street rapper. We just seen this happen with Michael Irvin and his son, where Michael Irvin was basically telling his son, listen, you grew up with privilege, you grew up in a gated community, you grew up with millions of dollars in cars and big homes and pools at your disposal. So for you to be out here rapping like you a street guy and you doing this and that is ridiculous. Why are you doing that? Now, I will say in these instances, we don't know what these people are doing behind their parents' back. We don't know where these people are going when they're not around their parents. The parents, especially somebody like Michael Irvin, who is gone all the time. But back to Angela Simmons. She's always wanted to drop that good girl image. And I think always in her heart, she's always had this longing to be a part of this world that she's a part of with Yo Gotti. And I'm not saying that Yo Gotti is teaching her any bad things to do, but Yo Gotti a gangster. He come from the streets. His music is from the streets. And I think that her being attached to him, she kind of get that thrill. I think she get the same thrill that Beyonce got when she first met Jay-Z, because Jay-Z was still, he wasn't the Sean Carter we see today. He was, low Caesar fade, women everywhere, girls, that type of Jay-Z. So I think Angela Simmons is going through the same thing when she dealing with Yo Gotti, but I don't know why. It popped in my mind today that this could just be her getting the bag. This could be Oreos saying, hey, let's do this iconic picture that Tupac did and let's make it go viral. And it definitely went viral. People are asking, why does she got Oreos on her? People are asking, why is she in a tub full of Oreos? People are asking, why is she naked and she got Oreos and milk on her? So I think Oreo might have won in this situation. Now, if she did this on her own, cool to her. She got her name moving, but she could have did something way better to get her name moving than this. Because all this would have did was helped Oreos marketing. People would have been seeing the Oreos and etc. And then you'll have other people who try to recreate this picture, and you'll have other people who try to do this same type of situation. So when I look at this, I have to say that, I understand if she getting it for the bag, but I also understand the people who say, what's going on with her? Why is she doing this? Why is she acting like this? BG versus Turk, man. BG is basically saying Turk don't need to be at the reunion. He's not a part of the reunion. And basically Turk is saying, BG is the original hot boy. And I think maybe some way he feels some type of way about Turk. Maybe the way that Turk been running around and speaking and saying things. And then I believe that somebody had asked a question about BG and did he snitch and those allegations about BG a while ago. And I think Turk didn't answer those too favorable. And I think BG pointed this as like, yo, I just did 14 years. I was on the compound. I was in population. Nobody tried to press me. Nobody said nothing crazy about me. None of these rumors ever came out. And now since I'm out of jail, these rumors are coming out, and you supposed to be my hot boy brother, somebody I grew up with. When somebody asks you a question, instead of you just saying, man, I have to look more into that, or instead of you saying, no, that ain't what it is, you take the stance that maybe, yes, it's a possibility, or no, he wasn't supposed to go speak on this or speak on that. And so when 1090 Jake did a deep dive into this situation, what essentially seems like came up is that, they were all in the car. It was a gun in the car. They ended up telling the guy in the back seat or wherever he was, yo, you take the gun charge. I'm going to give you X amount of dollars, and then we going to move forward with this. Well, what ended up happening is that they ended up having BG come testify in front of a grand jury and basically say XYZ, but the stuff that he said wasn't snitching. It was a story that they had concocted together, and the guy was supposed to take it. Well, the guy thought he was probably going to get like 1 or 2 years or maybe even probation. But once he found out, and this is the guy that ended up taking the charge for BG, once he found out that he was going to get like 5 to 6 years, he wanted to recant his statement. He wanted to say that it wasn't his gun. But the problem was, if I'm remembering it correctly, that guy had already signed off on the paperwork, and BG had already spoke and testified in front of the grand jury. So it was like, once you do this, you've done everything already. It can't be reversed. So I think that is why, Turk and BG fell out. BG basically saying, listen, you know how this go, gangster. I got into a jam. I passed the gun off to somebody else. I told him I was going to give him a couple of dollars. And if I wouldn't have went and testified this, I would have went to jail. Well, the irony of it is, I don't know if it's for this exact situation, but BG ended up going to jail anyway. So if he would have took that charge, he probably would have been out a little bit earlier, but maybe this was attached to that charge. I can't remember at this time, but that Hot Boy reunion don't have Lil Turk on it yet, and it don't have Lil Wayne, but it's still a good tour, but it would be way better if it had at least Lil Wayne on it. But maybe Lil Wayne and Baby not back cool as we thought they was. But anyway, this situation gonna play out how it's gonna play out. In other news, the Game could lose his mansion. Now, if y'all don't remember, a while ago, the Game had like some type of dating show. And in that dating show, he had a bunch of women on it. Well, him and one of the women were actually laying down in the grass, and the Game began to finger pop her. And while he was finger popping her, it was recorded. And I don't know if Game ended up saying something about it later, but essentially he ended up getting found guilty of basically assault or something like that. It was a weird charge, and the reason why the charge was weird, and I matter of fact, I think he lost the charge by default. He lost because he wasn't going to court and he wasn't taking it serious. And you know, when you're a rapper, they already have a certain type of image of you. And when you against the rapper, they already have a double type of look of you, of basically like, all right, well, you know, you think you're above the law. You this street guy. You got these street codes. We gonna show you. And a lot of times they function unfairly. But the thing about this that kind of got to me or made me look at it kind of weird is because all of this was on camera. All of this was something she willingly participated in. And it also was something that she never said, oh, I don't want to do this, or why you doing this, because all of these women were trying to get as close to game as possible. They wanted a chance to be with him, a chance for him to be able to be they man or they guy, whatever you want to call it. So these women were actually competing for him. So for him to get found guilty of this, we don't know, but it was a default judgment. I don't know what else happened after that. But anyway, he ended up supposed to owe her $7 million. And, you know, in this time, he's been basically saying he don't have it, he don't have it, he don't have it. And now they're basically saying, hey, if you don't give it up, you're going to have to give her your mansion. Now, obviously, she's not going to be able to upkeep that mansion and pay for it. But what will end up happening is that because of the $7 million judgment, they'll force the game to move out of the mansion. When they force him to move out of the mansion, he'll end up having to sell that mansion, and whatever proceeds come from that mansion, they'll give to her, and they'll probably settle his debt. Now, if I'm the game, I don't know why, even though he got this settlement, but why wouldn't he just go to court and try to do whatever he got to do, you know, have a little arbitration, even though I know it's been there, but try to see if he can do something to get the thing down, or maybe even go on a payment plan. Now, I do understand from game standpoint, I didn't do nothing wrong. She came on my game show. She want whatever he think about that, right? But to just have this continue to linger over your head, and every time something come up about this, these allegations come up, every time this lawsuit come up, no, you want this behind you. You don't want your name to continue to be attached to this. So I don't care if it's nothing more than giving her $2,000 a month for the next 20 years or whatever it may be. Or if you give her a lump sum of $50,000 right now and you give her $2,000 a week for the rest of however many years it is, just let that happen so your name can stop being attached to this. Now, one of the other reasons I believe that the game is not making as much headway as he can is because a lot of people don't want to be attached to his name. Because look, the game is basically flying low behind the scene. He dropping music here and there, and he dropping good music, but he's not doing nothing mainstream. And so when you look at some of these things, if you put the game on any of these things and the fans find out about his allegations, the people who don't know of the game, or the people who just catching on to the game, or the people who don't like the game, all they have to do is attack the brand, and now the brand looks crazy, and now the brand has to drop him anyway. So at this point, he's radioactive. So if I'm with him, I would do something and maybe even pay her a little more to sign an NDA so she can, well, she hasn't been talking about it, but it's been up in the news. But maybe she's talking about it behind the scene. That's a possibility. Man, it just keeps coming up, and she keep filing motions, and obviously she won that, so she want her money, as she should want her money. So if I'm the game, I got to get this far away from my name as possible. I'm going to pay this little bread off. I'm going to get her away from me, and I'm going to move forward with my life. The other thing that's kind of weird about this is that now Rick Ross is basically teasing him about the fact that he might lose his actual mansion. Now, the part that's weird about this is that they're beefing with each other, and they beef don't even stem from each other. They beef basically stem from Rick Ross being into it with 50 Cent, and then Meek Mill being into it with The Game. So it's like, this isn't even a beef. And the craziest part about it is neither one of these guys are cool with either one of the other guys anymore. So The Game not cool with 50 Cent, and Rick Ross is not cool with Meek Mill anymore. So when you look at this situation, it's like this beef is unwarranted, inherited, all type of things that don't even make sense. So hopefully they get all of this together. Hopefully they figure it out. But it's definitely going to be entertaining. And if y'all want to check that out, all you got to do is go to your Twitter or your Instagram, wherever you get your favorite hip hop news from besides me, and you'll see exactly what's going on. Kawhi Leonard, he chooses to leave Team USA to focus on Clippers basketball. Now, when you look at this situation, it makes perfect sense, right? Kawhi Leonard always have knee problems, so you don't want him out here playing for the Olympic team and possibly hurt his knees. And now you going into the season with the guy that you bet on, and you bet on him over Paul George. Kawhi Leonard is definitely a better player than Paul George. Kawhi Leonard is definitely present when you need him to be present. And it looks great, right, when he's on the court. But when he's not on the court, which is often because of injuries, you look terrible as a team. And so if you're the LA Clippers and you just paid him all his money and you let Paul George walk for nothing, you got to have that talk with Kawhi Leonard and say, listen, I understand you want to represent the country, but we just gave you this huge contract and your alliance should be to us first. And so we would think it's in your best interest to sit this out, continue to get healthy, work on whatever, and move forward. Now, it could have been a stipulation in his contract where he have to make the All-Star. I mean, if he make the Olympic team, he make a certain amount of money. So maybe he got selected, he went through the stuff, but he always knew he was never going to play. But he just did it so he can get whatever that bonus was he was going to get. And once he got that bonus, once he officially got on the team, once he made the roster, I think he might have even played one game, but I can't 100% remember. But after that, you just sit down so you can collect that money. And I could see Steve Ballmer doing something like that, allowing Kawhi Leonard to make that incentive to get the rest of that money he was promised, and then just having him shut it down because – let's be honest, the Clippers only going as far as Kawhi go, and all they have really is Kawhi. Kawhi need one more piece next to him. Dang, I wonder what life would have been like if Kawhi would have stayed in Toronto. He probably would have had way more championships. He probably would have at least had one more championship, in my opinion, but it's ugly out here. But salute to Kawhi Leonard, man, one of my favorite basketball players of all time. And sticking to basketball, with Kawhi Leonard stepping down, it left a vacancy open, and that vacancy probably should have went to who? The MVP of the finals, the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals, Jaylen Brown, but it didn't. It went to his teammate, Derek, or whoever that guy is. And so when you look at this situation, it's not only troubling because he was one of the greatest players in the playoffs, and, he ended up winning the championship this year, and they have 3 Celtics on the team already, but they don't even have the face of the Celtics. They have one face of the Celtics, which is Jason Tatum, but they don't have Jaylen Brown on the team. Now, when I look at this, Stephen A. Smith brought up the fact that, he said Jaylen Brown wasn't marketable, but I think this could play into that. But more than anything, I think it's a fact that, Jaylen Brown doesn't have a Nike contract. He doesn't have a Nike shoe. The Olympic team is fitted and dressed by who? By Nike. So when you look at this, if you got Jason Tatum, who's on Jordan brand, which is Nike, you don't want to put another player next to him who can take away from his shine. Now, with these other 2 players that's from the Boston Celtics on the team, you can tell that Jason Tatum is the dominant out of those 2 players. You can tell that Jason Tatum is the face of that. So I think when we look at the Olympics, Nike is just trying to make sure that Jaylen Brown don't overshadow the talent of Jason Tatum. And it's been weird lately. Jason Tatum is the first person to ever lead his team in all statistical categories, but still not win the finals MVP. It's unheard of. And basically people are saying, yo, Jaylen Brown stepped up in the clutch. He made clutch shots when they needed him to make them. And no, bro, but what y'all have to understand is that, yeah, he made a clutch shot, but if he made more shots in the beginning of the game or in the third or in the second quarter, you wouldn't need it to come down to these clutch shots. And also, some of those clutch shots was assisted on by Jason Tatum. And one thing that ends up happening is that y'all say y'all don't want the players to be selfish, but if I'm a player and y'all telling me to make the right play and I should pass the ball because that's the right basketball play, and y'all praise LeBron James for making the right correct basketball play when somebody missed a shot, but when I pass the ball to somebody for the right play and they make the shot, when I'm Jason Tatum, you saying, oh, well, you only giving Jaylen Brown the praise. You're not giving me the praise for making the right basketball play, making the extra pass. Or when I get a ball to Drew Holiday and he knocked down a corner 3, you're not saying, oh, how great of Jason Tatum for being unselfish and giving the ball to the open man and not forcing it. So what that does is that next season, when Jason Tatum come back, it's going to be a lot of those shots that y'all think he should pass that he's not going to pass because y'all not giving him the credit he deserves for the player that he is. And I understand him, and I hope he don't pass next year. I hope he get the chance to win the MVP that he deserved. Once again, this is Fairplay 2333 of Same Spit, Different Face Podcast, where my opinions is facts. And if you don't like my opinions, you can start your own podcast. And if you do like my opinions, you can follow me on all platforms. Check out my original Chicago Hood movie in the end screen, No Time to Play Fair. Click the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. Peace.